Fantastic. Yeah, good evening, everyone. You're welcome to Nigerian Society of Engineers Technical Session Manchester branch. We are very, very happy to have you. Before we start, I want to recognize our president, Madam Margaret Oguntara, the president of Nigerian Society of Engineers. I also want to acknowledge our patron, Engineer Ademola Olulofemi, fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers. I want to welcome you in the name of our chairman, who is here present, Professor Adebisi Bamidele, MBA. And I want to welcome with excitement this evening our presenter, Dr. Fodio S. Longman. So he's going to take the floor now and make his presentation. Please, can you write down your question or put it on the chat area so that at the end of the presentation, we can raise your question and then interact. Longman, you're welcome. And we welcome you to the stage to make your presentation. Thank you so much for coming.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me. Just before I start, maybe it will be good for me to remind us that if we could mute our microphone so we can stop the interference as well. Good evening, Dr. Ogbonna, and my mentor, who I call my father all the time, Professor Adebisi. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be in the midst of engineers as a non-engineer. It's quite a privilege. Maybe I should just go back. I met Professor Adebisi. He was my external examiner for my PhD. I think that was about 6 years ago in Sheffield. And it was just a quick click. Not to talk of after the examination, though, because at some point during the examination, I actually thought I was not going to pass. And I was like, why did she invite this guy after all? Because we went from page to page, word to word, and I will never forget. But indeed, it was a wonderful experience. And afterwards, I just said, oh, they say your mentor chooses you. You don't choose your mentor. But in my own case, I forced myself to choose my mentor. And that's Professor Adebisi. Thank you so much for this opportunity, sir. So I'll just go straight to my presentation. Permit me to share my screen now. Okay. Let me know if you can all see my screen.
Yeah, yes, we can see it. You can see it, but if you can make it full screen, that would be great.
Yeah. So okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you put it in slide presentation mode?
I think it's in slide mode already. So
but you are using two screens. Maybe you do the second screen. Yeah. Because we can see the screen that is supposed to be projected. Yeah. Dr. Fodio, can you hear?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So I'm just going to put it on a full screen now.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, it's okay now. It's okay.
All right. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone, and for honoring the invitation and for coming to this evening's presentation or technical session of the NSE in Manchester branch. I think Dr. Ogbonna has introduced my name, but just permit me to say one or two things about myself, which are very quick. I didn't do much, so it's not going to be a lot. So my name is Dr. Fodio Longman. I'm currently a research fellow with the Research Technology and Innovation Division of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, which is NNPC. I've been here in almost a year and a half now, I think. Okay, so in terms of my academic achievement, I have a PhD from the Control and Systems Engineering Department of University of Sheffield. My research focused on data fusion techniques for oil spill detection. I'm looking at combining different data sources. My MSc was at University of Salford in Manchester, and I did my MSc in data telecommunications and networks. And as a background, I studied computer science, and that's why I said it's quite a privilege to be in the midst of engineers, even though I'm not an engineer. As an experience, currently I'm a research fellow with the Research Technology and Innovation. Before then, I was a research associate at Manchester Metropolitan University, working with Dr. Allen, who is now an associate professor, I think. And before that, I was a research associate in machine learning and data analytics in University of Sheffield, UK, focusing on material science, so developing algorithms for gaining insight into materials. I was a part-time lecturer with Nile University in Nigeria, and as an adjunct lecturer with University of Abuja. That was just a short while before I joined the RTI, which is Research Technology and Innovation. And before my PhD, I was a chief scientific officer with the National Space Research and Development Agency in Abuja. I am a member of the British Machine Vision Association, MEVA, International Society for Information Fusion, Nigerian Computer Society, and the Society for Petroleum Engineers, which I just joined recently, probably because of my affiliation with NMPC. So a non-engineer, a computer scientist from the background, but then finding myself in the oil field, because of course we are in vogue, and we'll get to see that as I go through my presentation. So I've published and presented some of my research work, recently published with the IEEE. I think it was an international conference for pattern recognition systems, and that was in the UK, Wolverhampton, and it's part of what probably I will be discussing during my presentation. So my outline for my presentation this afternoon, I've said my overview, just objectives of my presentation. So why AI matters? Just from the title of this presentation. What are the trends? What are the statistics? An overview of what AI is. AI in the oil and gas value chain, talking about upstream, midstream, and downstream. And other applications are going to be in the value chain, which is exploration and production, drilling and production, midstream and downstream, sustainability, economic, social, and governance compliance. And of course, I won't go out without giving some case studies, focusing on Aramco, Shell, and B&H as well. So also, what are the challenges and considerations in terms of AI adaptation and implementation within the oil and gas industry? What are the future trends and opportunities? We're engineers, we're researchers, we're academics. We want to know what are the opportunities in terms of research, in terms of adaptation. What are those? And which I wouldn't touch so much is the strategic roadmap for implementation before I conclude. So often we see on the news about AI. What is actually on the news about AI, especially in terms of the oil and gas industry? We see things like Saudi Aramco enhances its operations with even China's DeepSeek. You know, not ChatGPT this time, but Saudi Aramco is even recognizing the China's DeepSeek, which is a lot of controversy around that. But then that is to show you how committed oil and gas industries are in terms of artificial intelligence adoption and the technology in itself. We could hear the British Petroleum extend its AI collaboration with Palantir. And then you start to wonder, why are all these companies going to these AI companies? What are they actually looking for? And then we could see again Weatherford partners the Abu Dhabi-based AI company AIQ. And what are they doing? They're integrating AI-driven systems in oil and gas operations. So much of AI, which we all know about now, I think we're all users of ChatGPT, which is the most common AI agent that people actually go to on their daily base, on their daily schedules and work. It was interesting to note that I think sometime in February, Dr. Popola did a session on this same platform on artificial intelligence, and he did a lot of background description of artificial intelligence, going backwards into its history, into its applications, and how you can use artificial intelligence to kind of improve your work performance. And that was a very interesting presentation. So today I'm not going to bore you with all that background because I believe it's already done. And so many of us here are already AI experts. Even from that presentation, I've gotten one or more knowledge. In fact, I listened to it. It was about an hour, but I then took time to listen to it and to get some knowledge from it as well. So I wouldn't bore you with all that background information, but concentrate very much on my presentation title, which is what role does AI play within the oil and gas industry? So going back to the news again, AI fueled energy project in the United States of America. So a lot of all of this are happening with AI and the oil and gas industry, but what are they actually doing? What are the nitty-gritty things that is happening between AI and oil and gas industries? So what is the objective of my presentation today? The objective of this presentation is I want to at least be able to explore how artificial intelligence is transforming the oil and gas value chain. And that cuts across E&P, which is exploration and production, refining and distribution, improving operational efficiency, which is very much important, and then reducing cost and enhancing safety. So, ladies and gentlemen, especially the president of this organization, we know that the oil and gas industry has long been defined by exploration, engineering, and energy. Today, it is increasingly shaped by algorithms. It is increasingly shaped by automation. And of course, our title today, artificial intelligence. The sector, which is the oil and gas, is continuously facing growing pressure to improve its efficiency, reduce emissions, which Professor Bamidele will always dwell on, in terms of renewable energy and how we can actually reduce this climate change. Just recently, I was in Sokoto and the weather is almost 45 degrees, which is quite, you will say normal, but not entirely normal, okay? And it needs to, the industry needs to continuously stay competitive. So looking at all of this, the artificial intelligence is no longer a futuristic concept. You can't look at it as something that, oh, we'll do it in the future. But you will have to look at it that it is a strategic imperative. So it is crucial to the development of the oil and gas. So we can't go into this title without me just going briefly into what this oil and gas industry is. So just a brief overview. I'm hoping that I add a new thing to what you know, and I'm not just going to repeat what you already know, but just let's look at what the oil and gas industry is. Just a quick overview of it. So we all know that the oil and gas industry encompasses activities, and that is involved in finding, first of all, we need to find where is this oil, all right? Where is this gas? And then we need to extract that gas. But if we do extraction, that's not just enough. The oil and gas industry is involved with the activity of refining what we extract and then distributing that and selling oil and natural gas, which are crucial global energy sources. Even though with all this hype on renewable energy, we still dwell so much on fossil fuels, which is the key. And we continuously kind of trying to find ways of improving our production, especially in our country, Nigeria. We understand that this industry is complex because it entails a lot of engineering aspect of it in different phases. And of course, it is capital intensive. So this whole industry can broadly be divided into sectors. And what are these sectors? We have the upstream sector, which is the money spinner. Once you're able to explore and produce, then you're already getting dollars. I think the oil and gas is one of the major spinners, except now that the digital transformation is doing a lot and taking over from this prospect. So I could say to myself that I'm already quite lucky to be in both areas in terms of adopting digital transformation within the oil and gas sector. It's quite lucrative, and I hope I get to that point where it becomes more lucrative in terms of my research aspect, in terms of what I find, in terms of what I use it for. So with the upstream, we're looking at maybe the offshore oil and gas platform. I don't know if probably you are familiar with this image, even if it is on TV. I haven't seen one myself. And then, of course, you can see that the Dunkin' dog, they call it, I'm not very sure. But then people say, drill, baby, drill. With the comment of Trump, he emphasizes that, look, we're not spending so much on the renewable energy. We're not shying away from it either. but then we are going to continue to drill fossil fuel, because what goes to our manufacturing plant? How do we power all this big engine that we have? We don't have an alternative as it stands now. I stand to be corrected, Professor Bamidele, but then we still need to do a lot of work in terms of getting rid of fossil fuel, if at all, or at least making it a cleaner energy. And I bet you artificial intelligence and digital transformation is working towards that. And that's what we'll see in other slides of my presentation. In terms of midstream, we're looking at how do we transport the extracted oil or gas from point of production into pipelines and then transfer it and then transport it as well. And then we want to refine it into what can be used in our cars, in our engines, and all of that resources that we do. We know what is happening, quite interesting, with the Dangote refinery and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. We can see how only yesterday I saw in the news that is it South Africa overtaking Nigeria as the highest importer of refined product in West Africa. No, not in Africa, not West Africa, in Africa. And that is quite a plus. So we're actually progressing stepwise. But of course, with all the sweet things that I've said about the industry, this industry is faced by challenges. These challenges, the first one here is how do it lower emissions? Now, from point of production to point of usage, we know that fossil fuel product or the fossil fuel itself emits highly carbon. And oil and gas companies continue to work on finding ways to reduce these emissions in their operations. The goal set by the United Nations Climate Change Conference is to reach net zero by 2050. And if you ask me, we're only 25 years away from 2050, right? And fossil fuel have been around for longer than that time. So we still have a lot of work to do in terms of eliminating fossil fuel or finding ways that we can lower emissions so we can create greener energy and continue to benefit from what we have on the ground. The cost of production, of course, every company wants to make profit. It is not easy to make profit from oil and gas. It costs a lot of money. I don't have that offhand now, the figure, but I know it costs quite a lot to produce 1 barrel of crude. And that's a lot. So these companies continue to, and they need to remain profitable while they want to ensure that production is less harmful to the environment. And we can see the impact of oil exploration in the Ogoni land, for example, in Nigeria, the effect of oil spillage and all of that. While that happens in the cost of extraction and production, these companies are spilling this oil, but
stay there and use it. You don't need to remove it.
They want to remain competitive. They want to ensure that production is less harmful to this environment. The cost of producing this barrel of oil needs to be reduced by implementing cost reduction strategies. And that will focus on drilling or equipment costs and all of that. Now, safety is very, very important. We know that this industry, which is the oil and gas, is inherently dangerous, right? So from exploration to transportation to refining, all these processes entail a lot of dangerous activities. We can recall that, I think, was it in 2010? I remember using data from that accident, the Mokando blowout, you know, where you find one of the offshore oil rigs just explode, and there was a lot of explosion in the United States of America, the Gulf of Mexico. We remember that case. So these companies need to remain on alert. They need to create more efficient safety preventive measures that will make the whole procedure within the oil and gas industry quite safe. Very importantly, we have the exploration uncertainty. We want to avoid the issue of dry wells, where we spend a lot of money in acquiring seismic and other procedures, but then we dig or drill and we find nothing. So we want to be sure that if we are exploring what we want to produce, we're actually getting something out of it. That means we need to do a lot of pre-processing. We need to do a lot of data gathering. We need to do a lot of geological checks and all of that. And how do we make that more efficient? So these companies, these are challenges that the oil and gas industry are facing in the midst of wanting to produce more. For example, in Nigeria, I think only recently we're producing less than 2 million barrels of oil. And there are a lot of factors that are causing that. But we want to expand our production. But of course, there is a lot of exploration uncertainty. Maybe we've heard of the Kolmani oil field, now deviating from the Niger Delta region and going into the frontier basin, which is the inland basin somewhere around the Bauchi state. somewhere in Sokoto Basin. We want to explore all that opportunities, but then we don't want to go into exploration uncertainty because it's a lot of investment. As I say, this industry is capital intensive. So just a bit of background. Forgive me if I'm taking you back to what you already know. I think Dr. Popola did a lot of work on artificial intelligence, but just for the purpose of this presentation and to refresh, us, let me just say briefly what artificial intelligence is. So artificial intelligence is just a set of technologies that allow computers to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. So things around, let's say, predictive maintenance. Maybe you now notice that the bolt is wearing out and you need to change it. Can we actually allow computers to learn from that? And how do they learn from that? So a lot of other technologies. I remember in Dr. Popola's presentation, he made mention of computer vision. He made mention of natural language processing. He made mention of machine learning, generative AI, which we use every day. In fact, even this evening, I use the generative AI, which is ChatGPT. As a human, you kind of make an input into the computer, and then you expect the computer to make some output for you. And then there is some sort of interaction. So do computers actually learn? Of course, from the presentation we've had in February, we're certain that computers actually learn. And how do they learn? They learn from historical data, from historical activities, from computer vision, from natural language processing, a lot of all of that, So machine learning is just an aspect of artificial intelligence from here. So just a subset of machine learning, of artificial intelligence. And what it does is that it uses data and then imitate the way we learn. Okay, you go to school, they give you a book, they teach you 1 + 1 today, you remember that, you recognize that. That's exactly the kind of approach that machines use to learn. And with time, they because they have retentive memory, they are not weird out by other activities or other factors. They tend to retain more information, and they can use that information to perform tasks autonomously without supervision, and they can improve their performance and accuracy through that experience, and when you expose it to more data. So generative AI, ChatGPT, for example, DeepSeek, and other examples. I remember in that presentation, we even looked at generative AI that create video, that create sound, that create music, a lot of other things that you can do with artificial intelligence. But one thing that I want to reiterate here is that all this did not start now. We could look back to, let's say, the Alan Turing test, where a computer actually defeated a human. And that is only because there was more exposure to more data and the machine was learning more, okay? So generative AI is just that type of AI that can create original content, not limited to text alone. And that's why I talked about videos and pictures and all of that. And then it uses techniques like deep learning, reinforcement learning, and evolutionary algorithms, which I wouldn't go into for the purpose of this presentation. Okay, so just a pictorial description of what I just said now. In traditional programming, we have an input, and then we have a program, and we expect an output for it. Let's say, for example, I want to make an input of 1 + 1, and then I write a program that does addition, and the output will be 2. All right. In machine learning, I map my output to the input, and then it gives me a program. So what does that mean? I put in something, I map it into, let's say, the best description of Professor Bamidele, for example, is that he's tall and he's quite intelligent. When you're looking for something, he gives it out to you. If I put in a description of my mentor and then all the activities that he does at certain periods as an output, then I'm creating a program of him that will identify other things once they come. So you identify the business question you would like to ask, for example, you identify the historical input to that, and then identify the historically observed output. So what do they do afterwards? And that's what machine learning do in a nutshell. So let's look at the industrial impact of AI. Now, away from the oil and gas sector, what other industry does AI actually impact? So let's see, for example, this is industry in trillions of dollars. Let's look at accommodation and food services. This is around 1.50, that's about $1 billion, right? And then we're looking at, let's say, financial services, which is a lot more now. You don't need to fill forms, for example, if you want to get a credit card, okay? So all you do is within minute, you submit your application, and then you wonder within minute, they tell you, oh, your credit has been approved or your credit has been rejected. And you're wondering, how did that happen? because there is a lot of data of how you spend your money, how you've been able to, let's say, pay your previous card bills, and all of that information is usually in that machine, and that machine is making a decision on behalf of the bank. So the bank don't need to actually see you, but it only needs to have a digital footprint of you. So these are all the impact that we're seeing around the world and around different industries in terms of what artificial intelligence is doing. Okay, let's go back to our core discussion. In terms of the oil and gas industry, what are the trends? Okay, Start US Insight did an insight analysis of 2,086 startup companies. All right, and these companies were actually analyzed to see if in terms of the top 10 oil and gas industry and innovations, and that was only in 2025, so half of this year now, right? And then we can see we can see artificial intelligence going on there. We can see big data analytics. A lot of data is being derived every day now from what we do, from the activities that we do. That data is so much that it needs to be analyzed quickly to make informed decisions. We have, very importantly, the robotics and automation, and which is quite interesting as well. Just recently in NMPC, we're actually developing robots in terms of robotic process automation, so that we can free our staff to do other things. So repetitive tasks are actually done by a robot. All you have to do is that the robot knows what you're doing, switch on your robot, allow it to do all the repetitive tasks, and within minutes, the task that used to take you days is already done. So there are other very important things, even blockchain, predictive maintenance. Blockchain is very useful in the SCM, supply chain management system, predictive maintenance, cloud computing, and all of other trends are all within the oil and gas. And we can see artificial intelligence is playing a great role in this. So very important as an industry, which I have now aligned to, looking away from the academic point of view, they're very much interested in numbers. So in numbers, if we look at the global AI market within the oil and gas sector, benchmarking to 2022, and looking at, let's say, 2019 to 2010, we can see that by application, we have even the R&D coming forward. So there is a lot of opportunities for academics in terms of data management. How do we optimize our resources, SCM, cybersecurity, which is very important. And we can see that predictive maintenance is actually championing with over around $250 million. And that's in terms of just one region, which is the North American region. And then if you look at the CAGR between this period in 2023 to 2030, you are seeing almost an annual increase of 16.9%. So artificial intelligence, of course, is just one of the several disruptive themes that will have a big impact in the oil and gas corporations. And then we consider it will actually impact in building the future of the oil and gas sector. All right. Later in my presentation, you will see how this, case studies and how, oil and gas industry are actually investing in AI technologies just to kind of cure their pain areas and maximize productivity and then remain competitive. What can we actually get in terms of AI and machine learning approaches to the oil and gas industry? Very importantly, we want to extract knowledge. There are a lot of knowledge to be extracted. Data is being generated every day. Historical and generated data can help us to extract knowledge. We can make quicker decisions because we can have pictorial visualization of activities in little time, and then we can make inferences and decisions that can, of course, shape a company's trajectory. So, for example, if only recently we can see all the prices of oil are fluctuating. If we look at to integrate all the factors that are actually affecting the price of oil and put that into an artificial intelligence model, we can begin to say, okay, at this certain period of the time, based on certain factors, this could happen, and that can enable us to plan effectively. If Nigeria, for example, is benchmarking its budget at an average crude oil barrel price of 75, and today a barrel is about $63 per barrel, then we can see that that is already making a huge impact on the budget. So, which means a lot of government plan might not necessarily be actualized. And this is one thing that artificial intelligence can actually help us, because we are generating this data. We can look at what happens before, and then we can project the future. And we can do predictive analytics, which can help us in planning, just similar to what I've described now. And then we can optimize our production, because if we reduce our downtime, we can actually optimize production as well. So in terms of what kind of digital solutions are we looking at within the oil and gas sector? We're looking at global innovation, we're looking at digital engineering. In exploration alone, I'm not going to talk about all these futures, but let me just select a few, which I think are very important. So for example, in exploration, one of the first steps is to do a seismic data interpretation, and that takes a toll of time. I'm involved in a project, and they are still using the conventional seismic data interpretation, and I can tell you it's a lot, because they have to do some what they call the well log to seismic tie, which means they have to integrate the same measurement between what is being drilled and what is on the maps to see if that actually makes some sense. Now, oil and gas industry are investing so much in the use of artificial intelligence for seismic data interpretation, so to automate that process, okay? And how do you do your subsurface characterization? You need to do that as quick as possible. Reducing time, reducing investment, you want to be able to take decisions as quick as possible that will make positive impact and create profitability for you as well. Let me look at also research and development. Coming from the academic background, let me not be biased. Material discovery, we want to look at all that material discovery with artificial intelligence, what can actually be done. Can we look at integrating, let's say, computer vision on satellite images that are coming from this seismic data interpretation, and then we can discover more materials, for example. Can we do technological innovation? Can we develop systems? Can we develop applications at enterprise level that can help us to solve a lot of this problem? In terms of drilling, we want to do reservoir simulation. What will our reservoir look like? Before we go into it, as I said earlier, this process is capital intensive, and then we don't want to spend so much with uncertainty, okay? And then we can do AI geosteering of all these activities. So these are just a few of digital solutions that AI is providing within the oil and gas industry. Let's look at use cases. What can we actually do with artificial intelligence within the oil and gas industry? So what can it be used for? So we can do demand forecasting in terms of how are people actually demanding for oil. We know how much liters of petrol we used to consume in Nigeria before subsidy removal, and we can actually look at how much of it we're using now that there is no subsidy to be paid. If we are able to, utilize Internet of Things and on devices and humans, we can actually do predictive maintenance. So we know when our equipment are needing change or servicing just before they pack up. Imagine if you have like a production well that is producing 11,000 barrels of oil per day at an average price of, let's say, $75 per barrel. And all of a sudden, because you're not able to predict maintenance, you are going to experience a downtime. If you experience a downtime of 3 days, you can imagine how much of that you are losing. I just spoke about oil exploration and what artificial intelligence can do in terms of seismic data interpretation and well log simulation as well. It can also handle price fluctuations, so to enable us plan effectively and efficiently. I've discussed that also. And then with the use of things on our personnel that are on the offshore rigs, we can actually improve safety. If we suppose there was predictive maintenance on the Macondo blowout or the Macondo oil field, and the personnel there are on their wearables, Internet of Things, they can be notified on time, and you can imagine if life could have been saved, and of course, very importantly, the environment. I think it took a lot of time, nearly a year, to actually do that Macondo clean out, maybe more. And then in terms of robotic process automation for back office tasks, we're looking at repetitive tasks that kind of takes a lot of human time and effort to do. With robots now that can actually be applied using artificial intelligence, this robot can actually do this work quicker, and we can relieve our personnel to do other useful jobs. In terms of oil spills and hydrocarbon detection and response, I think this focused very much on my thesis for my PhD. and then I was looking at satellite images. So I can still look at that as a conventional means of actually detecting oil spills. But then I realized that because I was using satellite images, and then I realized that it's not every, dark spot on these satellite images that reflect oil spills. So how do you actually differentiate? You can imagine it takes a lot of time to do that differentiation, just the way it is with seismic data interpretation. If you can employ the services of an AI algorithm or technology, and it can do a lot of, analyzing that image in terms of computer vision within little time, then that could save a lot of time. In terms of regulatory compliance, we spoke about ESG compliance. We spoke about the Paris conference. We spoke about getting to net zero by 2015. How can artificial intelligence actually help? This can actually be implemented to help with that regulatory compliance as well. In terms of AI supply chain management, supply chain is a headache. I can tell you, even from experience, having stayed within the industry for a year and a half. So if we have an AI, upward that can do a lot of all these repetitive processes, and where we can do a lot of supply chain management, managing the chain of supply, something can be reordered before it gets, spoiled. We are integrating predictive maintenance with supply chain management. It makes our industry more efficient, and then we can reduce downtime as well. We can do a lot of enhanced reservoir characterization, and we can model our reservoir. So we can say, if we dig the Kolmani oil field today, having known what we know in terms of the historical data, applying the right artificial intelligence tools, we can actually be able to predict how much of that barrel of oil we can produce consistently, right? And I believe that is very important within the oil and gas industry. So now let's look at, in terms of sector applications of AI. So at the beginning of my presentation, I kind of explained that the oil and gas industry can be segmented into three sectors, which is the upstream, the money spinner, the midstream, which deals with the transportation, and the downstream, which deals with refining of crude oil to give out the product that we need. And here, what can we do? We can do predictive maintenance in the upstream sector so that we reduce downtime of production. We don't even need to bother about downtime because we can say, oh, this is how we can actually project our system performance, and we can know when there is a downtime. Dr. Ogbonna, I hope I'm still within my time, right?
Moments, it's time to clean your kidneys. Luckily, these 7
Doc, to be honest, I wanted to say that you will end, let's say 10 minutes in 10 minutes time. Is that okay?
Okay, fantastic. Yes, I think I'm almost I'm almost there. Okay.
Okay.
So we can do
after that, we can then have interactive session.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So we can also look at intelligent oil exploration, which we can deal with ROP, rate of penetration. We can have like intelligent drilling system. One of the problems that was encountered during the Kolmani exploration was that the drill bit gets stopped. And one of the research efforts that we're doing within the research technology and innovation of the NMPC is to see how we can actually create an intelligent drilling system with the bit, and also integrate an artificial intelligence capability of the drilling bit, so that once it encounters, it could change its parameters and continue to. So smart drilling optimization as well. Reservoir characterization and management. This is about the RPA. This is about predicting price fluctuations and managing that processes as well. Pipeline integrity monitoring with IoTs and sensor devices that can actually give us signals when there is something wrong with the pipelines. And that could actually, solve a lot of problems in the Niger Delta, where we experience a lot of pipeline breakage and all of that. I've also discussed about the AI-driven SCM. And then in terms of the downstream sector, we can, with AI, we can ensure that we are complying to all the regulations. We can do demand forecasting, so we can say, where are we sending, let's say, 5 trucks of oil to PMS to Sokoto when actually the demand is higher than that. We can see that because we're using historical data, and artificial intelligence can actually help us to say, oh, this is what we need to send in a click of a button. So we want to also optimize our refinery operations, and we want to intelligently detect oil spill and hydrocarbons spill in our production environment. And that will help with renewables, and that will help with climate change and all of that issues. So in terms of impact, I think during this presentation, I've spoken a lot of the impact AI already has within the oil and gas operations and the industry. There is innovation and continuous improvement. Even with the generative AI, we see different versions coming up. Even on ChatGPT, which is a continuous innovation and improvement, a lot of things are happening. Customers have enhanced experience because they cannot go to maybe the filling station and there will be a long queue because AI is helping us to kind of predict demand, to forecast demand. Our industry will remain at competitive advantage because of the historical data that we have that is actually forecasting, is predicting, is giving us insight that will help us to do better decision making. There is cost reduction in terms of how we operate, how we spend, and then we can reduce a lot of exploration uncertainties. We are protecting our environment and we are complying to the global standards as well. These are all impact that artificial intelligence can help with in the oil and gas industry. So this is also another slide that is talking about, oil exploration benefit of artificial intelligence within the oil and gas sector. We've discussed about predictive maintenance. We've discussed about RPA, which is the robotic process automation for back office tasks. Integrating mobile integration, where we are integrating devices to our personnel, to our equipment, and then we'll be somewhere safe where we can monitor all of this. We've discussed about how we can improve safety with IoT devices that are integrated with artificial intelligence capability. And then, of course, if we have all this in check, then we are increasing productivity, we're increasing efficiency within the oil and gas industry. So what is the future? The future is to have an autonomous plant that is safe, that is reliable, and efficient. So just a quick one into the case studies of oil and gas companies. I have tried to look at it with IOCs, which is international oil companies, NOCs, which is the national oil companies, and of course, providers. So I've looked at, let's say, Saudi Aramco, for example, the Shell, which is very popular. We know that Saudi Aramco is quite profitable company, and I think it was listed as one of the most profitable companies around the world. Baker Hughes as well, which is an oil servicing company. They deal a lot with oil servicing solutions. And Shell is, of course, into so many aspects of energy production. So most of these companies are now called energy companies and not just oil and gas, okay? So in terms of Saudi Aramco, let me just quickly say this. If we look at the Saudi Arabia artificial intelligence market, looking at just 10 years, between 2020 and 2030, we're looking at about 43.1% CAGR increase. And that is how much companies are investing in terms of artificial intelligence. You see a lot of this investment coming in terms of software and the services that this provides, not just hardware or integration of it. In 2024, we're already at $6.8 billion. That is just the AI market within, in Saudi Arabia. So one of the key features, let's just look at this, is the Saudi Aramco in March 2024, which was just last year, unveiled its generative AI, which is called the Aramco Meta Brain. And that was trained on 7 trillion data points. So you can imagine how intelligent the Meta Brain is. One of its capabilities is it can analyze drilling plans. So it can actually do a lot of planning for you in terms of your drilling campaign. It can kind of analyze geological data, and it can make data-driven recommendations on well exploration and do downstream focus. So similar to what we have discussed earlier, the Horizon oil field is a completely intelligent oil field. So less of human intervention in that field, similar to this slide. So it's something like this. So people are not there, they're monitoring the oil field from somewhere else, and it's completely autonomous. It is interesting to note that Saudi Arabia can monitor every barrel that it produces from the point of production to the last point of it, okay, whether it's going to be exported out or whether it's going to be refined within the Saudi Arabia. And these are all capabilities developed by digital transformation and, very importantly, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I won't go deep into that. Dr. Bona have already notified me that I have just 10 minutes, so I'm just going to touch on one point on each of this. So Saudi Aramco is a national oil company. Shell is an IOC. Is doing a lot of integration within artificial intelligence, developing systems in terms of seismic data, which is what we discussed. Seismic data is very important when you want to start any exploration campaign, and it's a lot of investment. I don't want to say the figure of my head now of what was spent with the Kolmani oil field exploration and campaign. Shell, in collaboration with Spark Cognition, is utilizing different AI algorithms to analyze this seismic data in deep sea exploration. Just today, I just realized that Total have sold one of its offshore oil fields to Shell, and I'm very sure they are going to utilize AI algorithm to at least do some deep sea exploration with artificial intelligence. So that means lower cost of their campaign and less intervention of human beings on that deep sea, and which means they're improving safety as well. So let's look at Baker Hughes. Baker Hughes utilizes the BHC 3.ai application suite, which is at enterprise level to do a lot of all of these activities that you can see. So it's like a suite which is at enterprise level, and the successful deployment of that solution led to a 4.7% reduction in not productive time. So they've eliminated nearly that percentage in non-productive time. So there was continuous production, which means continuous inflow, higher barrels are being produced, and an estimated $40 million in annual savings. So that is just to say the oil and gas industry is indeed a money spinner, and artificial intelligence is actually helping this industry to do more. So these are just few of the case studies in terms of NOC, IOCs, and oil servicing. And of course, if you want to implement artificial intelligence in the oil and gas industry, it will definitely come with its challenges. And then let's just quickly look at these challenges. So these challenges, we have data complexity. Data in terms of artificial intelligence is data hungry. So you need to feed it with something. We have a lot of data, but that data might not be structured. So you need to put it in a structured form in such a way that it makes some meaning, and it can actually fit into the algorithms of artificial intelligence. Very interestingly, when we had like an engagement with Halliburton sometime last month, they are developing, AI models and AI algorithms that can actually check for this data integrity and actually, put in that data in a format that is acceptable by most of the applications that they build. There's a lot of issues around regulatory compliance in terms of how that data is being shared. There are a lot of concerns of AI ethics and all of that, which Dr. Popola have described in his presentation in February. Most of our systems, especially in this part of the divide, in this part of the world, are legacy systems that don't actually integrate with, let's say, IoTs, with, let's say, artificial intelligence systems, which means there is a lot of overhaul of systems to be able to efficiently and effectively apply all the capabilities of AI within this industry. Very importantly, we lack in-house expertise. There is a lot to be done in terms of capacity development for this technology. And then we can look at data bias as well, which comes from legacy systems and how that data is actually integrated into systems as well. So what will be the future hold? What is the future of artificial intelligence? Very much people are very concerned that if we effectively implement artificial intelligence, people are actually going to lose their jobs and all of that. But the truth of the matter is, as I said, artificial intelligence is no longer a futuristic concept, but it is a strategic imperative. We cannot do away from it. If you have used your phone before coming for this session this evening, one way or the other, you must have used one artificial intelligence feature, whether ChatGPT, whether anything. You wouldn't even know what ChatGPT. So there are concerns about how people are going to do. So it's inevitable that AI will dominate across different industries, as we've seen the trends across different industries, not just the oil and gas, but the AI will kind of dominate, and that's the future of it. Even with the so it's not going to take away jobs, but it's going to support the workforce. There will be more robots and automation processes within the oil and gas. And then it will help with renewables and sustainability, which is quite important. I think the professor of renewables and new energy systems, Professor Bamidele is here, so that's not a field that I want to say even a bit of. I wouldn't go into that. And of course, there will be improved safety measures because people are going to be wearing wearables. We're going to integrate that into IoT devices. We're going to have intelligent oil fields, and people can monitor from everywhere. Okay, so that's just what's going to happen in terms of future outlook. And what does that mean? What that means, there will be AI-powered autonomous operations in terms of future trends. There will be real time because continuously data is going to be fed into systems and platforms, and that means there will be real-time decision making. Okay, there will be enhanced data integration and AI collaboration across, academics, across the industry, across research. There will be a lot of research that looks at integrity of data, sustainability of data, sustainability of this technology, how best we can benefit from this technology, the ethical concerns, all of that. And of course, we're going to have an AI-driven energy transition. Even at that now, we already have some kind of AI-driven energy transition. You could apply models into maybe switching from one energy source to another. That's the kind of artificial intelligence that is knowing when actually you can convert, or maybe your battery have actually charged enough and you can change from grid to maybe another energy source. And all of that are things that we are going to see. Very importantly within the industry is the issue of money. And if we look at what will be the market focus. As of 2024, we are at $5.31 billion in terms of artificial intelligence market within just the oil and gas sector, not just every sector, but within the oil and gas sector. That is according to Research and Market, which is the world's largest market research store. And if we are looking in 5 years from now, we are looking at triple of that amount. We are looking at $15.01 billion in 2019. So as engineers, as scientists, we need to kind of build capacity in this technology. There is no option to it. We need to look at how we can convert our conventional techniques of engineering, of science, into how artificial intelligence can help to support us and to do better, not just for our individual industry, but even for the kind of working environment that we have now. So in terms of implementation within the oil and gas industry, let me just use this to conclude my presentation. I hope I'm just on time. I know I've gone past that. The oil and gas sector's engagement with AI, as I said earlier, is not just merely adopting a technology, right? But it will be an indicator of a broader commitment. And that will be to evolve and achieve excellence with efficiency, which is prominent in our industry, with safety, and with sustainability. With this, I end my presentation, and thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you this evening, and for the audience as well. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Ogonna.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. We are clapping for you. We are clapping for you. Thank you so much. This is fantastic. I mean, I was thinking to myself that it's not just about coming to discover solutions. Your presentation also can also help to formulate problems, So because you really presented in a way that we can see other applications in other fields beyond oil and gas. So thank you very much for that. Do we have at least one response before we close? Any response, question, commendation? Yeah, please. Go ahead. Engineer Dr. Abdul Rashid, please go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. To the chairman of Manchester branch, and indeed the facilitator for a very well presented seminar. I am of the opinion that this above presentation also require a larger audience, because the impact is much. I was looking at the disadvantages of AI in oil and gas industry. But shortly when I started listing my question down in paper, then the presenter started analyzing what is the future challenges and so on and so forth, which is making it extraordinarily perfect. So my own is a positive comment. The presenter has done a very good job. I want to congratulate him for that. I think I will want the branch, Manchester branch, that have been doing a very great work all the while. So this audience to me is not large enough. That means the publicity, for me, I didn't know about this webinar until just 10 minutes before the commencement. And I have many others. I have to, leave that one and join this. Well, I know Manchester is always doing a very great, webinar. So thank you, the chairman of Manchester branch, and thanks to, Dr. Popola, of course, who has also facilitated on AI in this regard before. So I want to, that is my take. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that feedback. And what we are going to do is to upload this presentation to the YouTube. It's recorded. So by so doing, we will share it. He also mentioned the previous presentation on AI. So we are going to collate our presentation on AI and make it available to the public. So by so doing, more people will see it. So please, if you want to contact the Manchester branch, you can go to our website, nscmanchester.org.uk, and we hold this technical session every last Friday of the month. Because of our time, please, permit me to yield back to our chairman, Professor Adebisi Bamidele, MBA. Prof,
Thank
please.
You. All right. Thank you very much, Engineer Abuna. Shukuma, thanks for coordinating this. My special thanks to Dr. Fodio, Longman. Amazing presentation, not in any way surprised. I was just imagine that I know that 1 hour will never be enough for you, but that's the constraint that we have. Thank you so much. We really love your work, and we hope that when we invite you to come and give a follow-up to what you are currently doing, which I know you have not shared, you will, answer and be willing to share next time. Thank you, and thank everybody for joining. I think the UK Friday is always a busy time. Plus, it's in the UK this week is actually what's called a midterm. It's half term, so many people are on holiday with children as well. So I think that may be part of it. But I think 35 on the platform also shows that these are people that are really interested in the topic. As said by Engineer Bona, we'll make sure that we put this on YouTube and disseminate accordingly. So thank you, and thank everybody. Please join us next month for the next session. All the best. Have a good weekend. Thank you, Dr. Fodio. All the best. Bye. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.